Watch who?
Hello.
And welcome to To Watch Who, a Doctor Who podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And I'm new to watching Who.
Yeah, watching for the very first time.
Very first time.
Oh, I've forgotten to do like an intro. I forgot to
What?
say where we are. I haven't thought of it.
Oh, we've just started.
I know, but I forgot.
Okay.
Anyway, here we are, everyone. Where do you want to be?
Are we in the hospital?
We're in the hospital. We're in the hospital. It's very overlit, but there are some nice plants around.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just moving wires for my cat. Yes, there are.
There we are. There we are. Sorry, everyone. That's the intro this week.
Well, I'll intro, like, my scenario right now, story time, Sarah. My cat is, I was just telling Mark before we started, so I record at my desk, and I have my printer under my desk, and my cat is obsessed with the printer. The printer, as soon as it turns on, she's there, and she just waits for paper to come out. Anyway, I printed just before we came online, and it's all off, but she's just sat here crying under my feet, because she just wants to play with the printer.
Very appropriate pet talk this week.
Yeah.
Not jumping too far ahead, but we have an introduction this week.
Have we?
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, K9.
Oh, right. I thought you meant, oh my gosh, this episode's not going well at all. I thought you meant like we have like something. I thought you were going to surprise me with something. Oh my God.
Right.
K9 that was such a good surprise.
Well, okay, well, let's just talk about K9 a minute. You know K9.
I know K9, as in I've seen odd clips. I don't know K9 more. And I actually thought K9 was later. I thought K9 was in the 80s. So it was a complete surprise. And I actually think that, because I know you're not a fan of this episode.
Not that much.
This story, sorry, not episode. I didn't mind it. And I think we're going to be at some battleheads today. Battleheads? Butting heads. We're going to be butting heads today.
I don't want to be too horrible about it, but it's definitely a drop in quality. I mean, I'm looking at production stuff, maybe a bit of story.
I didn't think the production was as bad as, like, I was expecting it a lot worse. And maybe it's because we've had a lot worse. There were some things that weren't brilliant. But generally, I thought the sets weren't too bad. I really liked the contrast between episode 1 and 2. That, I think, was probably my favourite part of the whole thing.
I think they are already running out of money for whatever reason, and it shows majorly. Okay, well, it's Invisible Enemy, everyone. Let's just start, because we've got plenty to say. I'm ready. Right, Invisible Enemy, part 1.
Yeah, here we go.
We start off with terrible model work, cheap spaceship.
Yeah, it reminded me of Red Dwarf. I even texted you that, didn't I? Like, that wasn't great. But it did remind me of Red Dwarf. And even, like, the camaraderie between the the space guys, whose names I don't know. They don't mean anything to me.
So that crew at the beginning, well, this is a contrast from season 13. You remember Planet of Evil, where they're on that ship and he had the glass table, and it was the Jekyll and Hyde guy on the ship, and they were trying to get off the planet with the red thing. That was a proper crew, the spaceship on different levels. It looked like a space crew. This, okay, they've gone for the different levels. They've tried that again. Those space suits don't fit them very well. The captain guys up there, bad acting, I'm sorry, from all of them. Terrible. They're just... And then those guys sitting down... They're on like two like leather sort of sofa chairs. They don't even match. Someone's just found some random sofas outside in the props department and put them together. Where's the intention? It's not a spaceship. It's some weird like lounge area that they're like, oh, let's pretend this is a spaceship. We're playing there's no. If you compare it to a couple of seasons ago, it's terrible. And that acting, come on. They're like, oh, we're in space. Oh, we're sitting here. It's awful.
Mark, can you do me a favour? Can you have a really just really express your opinion on this for me?
Sorry, I know this is. I know, but
Just get off that fence, Mark. Have an opinion. God.
Well, I mean, they can't all be. We've had so many amazing stories and so really good quality, and I don't know how. It must come down to money. I mean, it doesn't explain the bad acting, but it must come down to money, that they had money last season, and these guys, contact has been made, and oh God.
So
on.
it's funny because to me, I can't remember their names. They had no impact on me at all. Like, I couldn't tell you which was which.
No, they're just the three crew baddies.
They're just
It doesn't
three
matter what
crew
their
guys,
names are.
and like that is that. They were just the crew, and I found that quite funny. Maybe it's because I had no expectation.
I thought, maybe it winds me up because this is, say I was showing you Doctor Who for the first time, which I know I am, but you've seen a lot of Doctor Who now, so you know what to expect. This is what people think classic Doctor Who is. Wobbly sets, bad acting.
I didn't think there was
bad
that. I
special
didn't notice
effects.
any wobbly sets.
This is what gives it a name, and I think maybe that's part of it, that sort of embarrassment, and you just want it to be a bit better. And I know, maybe as a kid, you'd watch it and you'd think it was amazing. This one I didn't watch as a kid, so I don't have any special sort of connection with it. It was just a video that I got much later on just to sort of fill the collection.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything special. There's ambition, amazing ambition in the script, but they can't fulfill it. So don't do it.
I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I didn't think... Look, okay, here's what I thought worked well, and we're just going to, like, stream... I know we're supposed to be on episode 1, but we're just streaming through. So, the beginning, all right, there's some shoddy beginning shots and stuff, but I've kind of got used to stuff like that. So, like, they're not always brilliant. They're not always cinematic and beautiful. It was quite nice not to be on, like, a quarry. That was quite, like... We've been on the quarry a lot recently, so it's nice to be somewhere to have just a different start. So that I appreciated. Like I said, it reminded me of Red Dwarf, and Red Dwarf was done on the cheap, so maybe there's like a nostalgia to it for me for that. Anyway, like Mark, hold it in. I'm saying the things like, God, you are already. This is worse than missing episodes. This is worse. Anyway, so I thought it was an idea. I thought it was a bit of an unusual one in terms of like the Doctor getting taken over, and Leela not being affected. I thought that was quite clever. As in, like, oh, okay, yeah, why and all that. It did kind of annoy me when his answer was just to go to sleep at the end of episode 1, and I was kind of like, where are we going to go from here? Is he on holiday? I'm confused. But then when it started episode 2 and we'd been in this really dark, dingy, gross spaceshipy thing running around that, and it was all quite dark and they're going up and down those steps and things. And then and then it was just this completely different thing. I love the scene with Leela and the receptionist. I love that. There was that dialogue was just funny and brilliant. And then in rolls K9, and I was like, I did not see that coming at all. And I love that. Like, for me watching it for the very first time, like, I don't know what's coming. So to go from what was this really weird, dark, dingy, the Doctor's just fallen asleep and gone into a coma, and I kind of miss where they were like, we need to get him to the hospital, or like, I can't remember what they said. They didn't say hospital, but they were like, we need to get him to somewhere. I love Leela's confusion over it. And I loved just the complete contrast, because those two sets were completely different. And I loved that.
I'll give you that.
I loved as well some of the spacey signs. One of them, it said, accident. Was it accident room or no, isolation? It was isolation room, and it was spelt wrong, and it made me laugh.
So whatever reason, they decided that in the future here, everything is spelt phonetically. So that's why everything sort of... all the signs are all just written like that, which is bizarre. I
thought it was just really funny. I like the space, like when they were on the wrong floor and it had the space words, but I kind of worked it out because then there's like some not, all that. I quite liked it. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit corny, but sometimes Doctor Who is a bit corny.
I'm just going to go through and try and be a bit positive.
You're going to struggle, I can tell.
Okay, well, we have that.
But your jumper looks great. That's positive.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, we then see the old console room back again. The Doctor and Leela are in there.
Yes, again, that was nice. I enjoyed that. We haven't seen that for a while. He didn't like the decoration.
As soon as we give that old console room an icon award, it goes off and disappears.
But I mean, I did like the old console room, but it doesn't make me think of Doctor Who.
It's nice to see this other one back, actually. We
Yeah.
like the other one.
I really love the other one. It's so different, but it doesn't. Whenever I saw it, I just thought, this doesn't make me think Doctor Who. And as soon as we saw the new console room, I was like, well, the old one, I guess, but in its new form, apparently. I was like, yes, this is Doctor Who.
We also have Leela back in her old outfit again.
Yeah, that was a blast from the past. But again, I guess that's what she is. That's what she wears.
And then, so this crew has got taken over. And you can tell they've been taken over because suddenly they've got all sorts of paper stuck to their face.
I thought it was like, like those really giant sequins you can buy.
Well, yeah, that's what they were.
I was like, I love that someone in like costume or makeup's gone. In my head, it's the 70s, and the 70s is like disco and stuff. And they're like, I got a load of these sequins left over. Shall we just like, and I just sort of put them on the face. Like, that is the dialogue in my head, and I love it.
I mean, why? Could they be a bit more subtle if people are taken over, or does it need to be so bold that you're like, you can't hide it that you've been taken over by this thing because it's you get fake eyelashes put on you.
I quite liked that. Because sometimes I find it hard to follow, like who's at what point. So I knew the people that are taken over look like that, and the people that aren't don't look like that. And I quite, as a viewer following, and what sometimes can be a bit of a, following commands. I mean, like for example, the Doctor for a while was trying to restrain it. Then he was really all like, Ice Baby,
I forgot the Doctor gets zapped in the TARDIS, doesn't he?
There was a lot of like, I enjoyed when it was really clear the people that have been taken over and the people that haven't yet.
But they go down on this planet and then they enter, well, I put the worst party ever, the worst acting ever, and the worst death. When they come in, hey, come on in. We're relaxing, having a party.
Come on in. Join the party. Our last supper on Titan. Well, come on, get your gear off and relax. You're going to be here for... What kind of a joke is it?
Hey, you guys! It's like I don't know, when you're at a party, try and force yourself to have a good time. It's the worst act, and then they get shot, and then they all just fall down like this. He's got like a bottle. Hey, it's not a party. It's terrible. It's awful. That is the worst scene I think I've ever seen in Doctor Who up to this point. That party scene. And that is definitely, again, worst moment. Wait till we get the Doskers. But that, come on, surely you must see, that was terrible. Hey, we're in here. Hey, we're having a party.
Like, yes, but it doesn't stick out so much as being terrible.
I think it was. I
think like there were enough other bad things going on that, but not, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, I didn't think it was brilliant, but I didn't hate it.
Well, did you notice, so the supervisor guy, so he's the one that, he does get taken over eventually, but in this first episode, he runs around, he runs out the airlock, comes back, gets frozen.
Oh yeah, he's really sad, and he's like, I don't understand what's going on with them. Yeah, him.
We've seen him in Doctor Who before.
Go on.
He is Lawrence, you got told 3 times, Scarman from Pyramids of Mars, the one whose brother died. Do you remember him?
Sort of, but the fact that you thrown in that you got told 3 times made me laugh.
You said he got told 3 times. That is Lawrence Scarman from Pyramids of Mars. I wasn't sure if you'd remember him or not. He's terrible in this as well. Everyone who gets taken over, you get taken over and you just act badly.
And you get sequinized.
Oh, and then we have, when the TARDIS or the ship or whatever is getting like zapped by this space effect, it's some weird, like, smoky, watery, terrible effect.
Yeah.
Terrible. On the DVD, they have replaced the special effects, by the way, so you can watch this with better effects if you want to.
I didn't need to.
Oh, and then I thought it was a bit weird in the TARDIS. So Leela's got this instinct. I'm sorry, I'm going back a little bit. This is before the Doctor gets zapped. And she's sort of hiding. Well, I liked her doing her name on the blackboard. But then she's sort of hiding in the corner, holding the Doctor's scarf, being like, there's something terrible's about to happen. I think that's out of character for her because I think she's more brave than that.
No, I disagree because the Doctor said something later about it. Like, all of her thing is instinct and feeling. So, like,
Yeah, I get that. And she does feel that.
she senses things in a completely different way. I thought it's a bit of a cheap shot, as in they're in space and she can sense something bad. I want you to have landed and sensed something bad. And I did also feel, and I thought this was really good acting from Leela, when the Doctor was zapped, and I mean, we know because we see it, but she knew that, like, something wasn't right. But it was, I don't know, I quite liked that, where you could sort of see on her knees because she's like on the shit with him and she's like, you're not right, what's going on? And I quite liked that. I thought it was quite a good sort of, like, that's why I enjoyed that sort of dynamic shift of the Doctor change. But no, he's not unwell, something's changed, and how she sensed that.
Oh yeah, I get that, and that she sensed, because she sensed stuff in Horror of Fang Rock and in all other stories. It's just her height. Why isn't she standing there going, Doctor, I can feel something, like she has done before? I don't like the cowering in the corner. I don't think that she would do that. I think she's braver than that. She would stand up and say, there's something happening. And I don't know, I just didn't like the cowering in the corner. I just thought that was out of it.
I get that. I think the playing of it wasn't great, but I think the writing is of her character and the idea, yeah.
So we got Lawrence in the freezer. Doctor gets possessed. So the Doctor meets our bad crew, and he's evil Doctor. I think they might have slightly had to change the line because they're like, right, you've been infected now. It's a virus. Let the breeding begin. And then he went, let the breeding from my nucleus begin. Because if you said let the breeding begin, that's like a completely different type of thing. Like, I think he had to make that clear that it's the breeding from his nucleus. Like, go after Leela, let the breeding begin is not the best way to say it.
No. I don't know, again, I kind of liked, it kind of made me laugh a little, the extra explanations from the Doctor. Even under trance, he has to further explain things, and I thought it was quite funny.
And then Leela is off on her own. I like that this is her first... Well, no, actually, she's done it quite a bit, hasn't she? Where she's left on her own. The Doctor is evil, and she's out there to sort whatever. So she finds... I'm going to call him Lawrence from now on. But then he gets got...
Everyone's getting
got by this virus. COVID times again.
You know what? I had a bit of a... It's been a while since we've had a mystery virus.
I know, wow.
And COVID watch. And I kind of thought, do you know what, though? Like, at least you can see it. At least you know you've got it. It's not like the hidden virus or anything. The invisible... What is it? The invisible enemy?
The invisible enemy.
It's not that invisible.
Well, no, it's not, is it? It's glitter over your face, isn't it? And then the Doctor's going to go and shoot Leela. That's the end of part 1, so evil Doctor time. And as you say, into part 2, we then very quickly head off to this medical asteroid place. But before we do that, because Lawrence has been taken over... See, this is the problem. They haven't thought this through. Everyone's got all their fake eyelashes on, and it looks very pretty. But...
Oh, and he's got his glasses.
But he has those big... It's like those shades you get in one of those, like, photo booths, dress-up photo booth things, isn't it? You know?
It's very 80s, all right? In the 80s, he'd be in his, like, tracksuit with his giant glasses, you know?
They are dress-up, costume party, sunglasses.
I thought it was hilarious, because also, I don't think I'd realised that he'd been taken over.
Oh, come on.
I don't know.
You must have.
As in... But early on, they don't all have the sparkly eyes straight away. I don't think... I could be wrong.
But if I just went, hold on a second, I'm just going to get a drink, and I came back and sat down in front of you with those massive things on, aren't you going to say, are you okay?
That's not what it was. No, because they arrive at the thing, and they're like, he's got something in his eyes. So they don't understand at that point, do they? Well, everyone's been zapped in the eyes, haven't they? That's what this thing does.
They're these huge big vial. Are you okay? I've got something in my eyes. The big comedy glasses. It's terrible. It's terrible. But you are right. Leela and the receptionist.
I loved it so much. I loved it. It reminded me of some like sort of funny passive aggressive. It reminded me of being in a hospital. Like I loved it.
Yeah, it was really good.
That scene it made episode 2 for me.
But then we meet Professor Marinus, not Marinis.
Yeah.
Marius. Sorry, I kept thinking of Keys of Marinus. That's why, but it's Marius.
Of course, we have to mention Keys of Marinus.
Professor Marius, owner of K9 and creator of K9. He's been in Doctor Who before.
Has he?
And complete opposite, absolute complete opposite. He is from Planet of Evil. He is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde guy.
No way!
Completely
Remember
different.
that.
But here he is way over the top. Accent. Like, is he playing it for laughs? You see, this is what I mean. We've changed tone so much. New producers coming.
What I really liked about this, though, is that change of tone. That is something I really liked. I liked that he came in and he was it was sort of a light refreshment. And it genuinely felt so... I mean, we've never had anything like that. I cannot think of a time in Doctor Who where we've gone from the incident to the recovery. And, like, even on Earth, all right, we've had the doctors and stuff, but it's always like, but he's got 2 hearts, or I can't feel a heartbeat. But wait, it's that sort of stuff. This was like, we're in space hospital. We've never been in space hospital before. So we've never been, this is new. And he was just kind of like, why have you brought me over here? Oh, ooh, interesting. I quite liked it. It was a complete shift, a change, and a change of tone. And also, I liked knowing from the start, I was like, this guy is on our team.
Yeah, we don't have any, who are you, prisoners or whatever. He's brought in immediately. We can carry on with the story. There's no holding it up.
There's no let up. It just, and I'll tell you what, Mark, I found moving between episodes 1 and 2, I watched those straight through.
Oh my God.
Like, I found them really easy to watch.
Well, I think
I found 1 a bit like, okay, but 2 was such a relief and so like easy flowing. And I knew what the point was and where we were going with it. It was an easy watch.
I think we've got this new producer. We have got a shift in tone. I think the whole Mary Whitehouse violence thing has been taken into consideration. And so they are a bit more. Although saying that, Leah's still going around with her knife. So I've written an eye test. Someone has an eye test. I think Lawrence gets out and starts infecting people around. Then they
tried to take his glasses off and he zapped people with his eyes.
Leela gets scanned, so they find out, because she's more sort of primitive and has those, for whatever reason, she's immune to. So this sort of gunfight battle happens with various nurses and people being taken over, and Leela goes off on her own. Her and K9 are doing a bit of she does that role. She does that. She's like blasting people, doing a role.
I loved all that.
K9's
I love Leela and K9. Leela and K9 was brilliant. Like, and I was so excited by it because I think it's because it's the first time I've watched and known that like that thing or that person will be joining. Like sometimes I'm like, I wonder, but this is the first time where I'm like from the start, because I know that I've seen like clips, K9 always comes up in clips whenever they show like, it always comes up. So I know at some point, K9, I just didn't realize it was now.
I am K9 and I am warning you.
Look, I came to see the doctor. I arrived with him.
I do have offensive capability. You have been warned. Retreat, retreat.
So it was so refreshing from the start to be like, that character I'm going to see again. And I know he's going to be part of the whole folklore of this. And to see them working together with ease from the start. Because also, it's a fucking robot.
He's got a personality, though, already, hasn't he? He's quite funny.
There's a personality, but it is a robot. It's not like making decisions in... It's almost as if we'd have had, what's his name from previous season, come on. Who we loved, who was also a robot. Then got killed.
Yeah. Vince, then.
That was is it D84?
D84, yeah.
Yeah, it's like D84. It's practical. There's no emotion. There's no like. That's really hard. And that's also really hard to form a dynamic with.
And we with K9 now we have a portable gun that can go around and help out with various things as well. So Leela and K9 get on great in the battle. She's like,
they're great. And then, K9 provides all like science stuff for the Doctor. Also, I loved the Doctor's reaction to seeing K9, just knowing it was a dog and being like, well, hello.
Yeah.
I loved it. Oh, Mark, I loved it.
Well, then, as we carry on with the story, the solution, because the Doctor's lying there, is to clone the Doctor and Leela and then miniaturize them and then inject them into the Doctor's brain. Which is just... So then we've got 2 Doctors and Leela's going around. Leela is not bothered. She's like, oh, which one is it? Oh, yeah, okay. She's carrying on with the battle.
I loved that dialogue. Is this in episode... This is episode... To end of 2,
Yeah,
isn't
end of
it?
2, yeah, they're shrunk.
I remember, Mark. I remember.
Yeah, so that's end of episode 2. The cliffhanger is them going round in like the water, like, what?
Yeah, that wasn't great. But as a cliffhanger idea, like they got miniaturized and and I love that dialogue. She's like going, K9, can you explain cloning? And it's like, can you do it simple? No. Humor. Love it.
And when Leela's like, oh, do I really look like that? Oh, I don't want to.
Yeah, I loved all
and
that.
I also like,
I loved
she's
it.
saying about the cloning, she's just like, well, you get on with that. I'm going to go out and fight. See you later, sort of thing.
She knows a purpose here. And I just liked that this was going on, but generally I could follow the plot of the story. Like, I was a bit confused why we were cloning, and then I understood he was going into to fight the virus. He was like, we're going to go and so I understood that I was like, okay, fine. That's what he's doing. We've not been miniaturized for a long time. The last time we were miniature was season 2.
Oh my God, Planet of Giants. You love Planet of Giants.
I love Planet of Giants.
We've been miniaturized maybe. Oh no, actually, we've got miniaturized in Carnival of Monsters, kind of.
Kind of?
I can't think of any other time. It's well overdue of a miniaturization.
It's well overdue. Love a bit of miniaturizing. Love being put in a little tear duct. Also, I was watching Rick and Morty around the same time, and it was an episode where Morty gets miniaturized for any Rick and Morty fans out there. I think it's like season 2 or 3. Anyway, so maybe that's another reason why I was like, and then miniaturized. There's a lot of like Rick and Morty to this episode.
Well, what do you think about all the inside of when they're walking around?
Oh, it's crap. It's absolute crap. I'm not a fan of it. But equally, they're on their 3rd set, so let's give them a break.
It's all blue screen stuff, a lot of it, or random bits of bin bag hanging up and...
Well, yeah, but actually it wasn't as awful. There were like the ball things. There were bits where I was like, that's not too bad.
The antibodies attacking Leela, the white antibodies. Ah, no. You know.
Yeah. Like all that.
I like the concept is good.
It's the 3rd story, and it is their 3rd set. We've had weird dark ship, we've had beautiful hospital, clean hospital, and now we're in a human body.
I can't wait till we get later in the season when they do genuinely run out of money. This isn't the worst looking story by far. Anyway. So K9 is out there with Leela. K9 shoots the wall, but you can already see that it's already been cut out, and it's like take 2, and they've already had a go. It's just a bit... I know I should be looking at the story and how amazing it is, and it's great ambition.
I didn't even spot that, I saw K9, but I didn't even spot it. But
and then K9 gets taken over, but then he resets himself and he's all right.
Yeah, of course he does. K9.
And then, so Leela's come inside the Doctor's brain because he wants her to use her tracking and her skills to follow where the virus went through. I like that idea. And there's some big concepts where it's like one side of the mind and the imagination or something like that.
Let's also, once over, this would have all just been 2 or 3 stories. They'd have been in that body for 2 episodes once over. It's nice that we're just moving through it. We're just we get to our point, we're fun along the way, we bounce along some white balls that are white antibodies, and then we meet what is a pretty pathetic virus.
Okay, so we meet the nucleus the nucleus of the swarm, who is... Well, it's this black thing with a hand inside the Doctor, and he's having a chat to it. Outside, Marius is taken over. And don't you think it's weird? The nurse does a bit of action. Nurse has a hero moment here. But it's weird. He shuts the nurse inside the booth he doesn't say anything. Then they come in and take over, and then she escapes.
Yeah, I mean, all of that. I thought that was a bit of a shame that he got taken over. I mean, I guess it's just to move the story along in some way and have something happen. I was a bit like, oh, really? Okay. Like and because then when they're trying to get him out, I was like, they're going to have to get them out at some point. And then when he was like, kill them, well, of course that's what you do. And he's like, no, we must grow. I was like, well, what's the point? If he was threatened, that would have been different. As in, like, if you don't do what I say, and he's trying to reason with them. But when you've been taken over and you're doing it, I just think it's a bit odd.
I'm a little bit confused at the end of this episode. You might need to explain, because when the DVD came out, there was an error in the DVD. So at the end of part 3, the Doctor's talking to the black thing.
Yeah.
And then it sort of cuts to the credits, and then it cuts back again to the prawny bit. Basically, they mess up the end of that cliffhanger bit. There's like a scene that's out of sync. And at the time, this was years ago, this came out on DVD, you could send away for a replacement disc, and I never did. I was just thought it'll come out on Blu-ray or something. So I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people out there had this problem on the DVD. So I never really got, maybe that's why I didn't watch this one very much, because I had that error on it. So it's all, I saw it out of order for some reason. It was a bit, so
he's talking to the blobby thing. Second reference of blobby we've had in 2 weeks. Anyway, he's talking to the blobby thing, and he says, like, you won't get away with it, or something like that. And he's like, no, you've actually fallen for my plan. And then the next scene is he's shouting, the tear duct, and then the Doctor's going, the tear duct, the tear duct, the tear duct. And then it goes, they're there, and he's like, we're back in the lab, and he's there at the tear duct. And then the other guy's going, kill them! And he's like, no, we must maximize them, or whatever he says, something like that. I'm ad-libbing a lot here. So then he puts them in the maximizer, steps back, but actually it's not them, it's the blobby thing.
The prawn, yeah. The giant prawn.
Which, again, great cliffhanger, I thought, because what you're expecting is to see them come back. You don't, and it's literally the last shot is him saying, like, no, you've fallen for my plan. Then you hear the Doctor shouting, the tear duct, the tear duct. So you think they're running for that, but actually, or trying to break, and then when you see it go big, you're like, that's great.
It is a great moment, yes, as written, as realised.
It's a terrible monster.
I mean, is that somebody in the suit? Okay, hold on. I'm going to just hold myself a minute until I get angry and have a go at the prawn. So yeah, the Nucleus is big, part 4. Before we go into that, prawns, I'm thinking about prawns. I might put in a clip here of when, you know, on the Books podcast we did, you know, when I ate prawn crackers live in front of you and I hate them, they make me sick.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm going to put the whole prawn cracker story from our other podcast in here, because I don't need to explain it then. And
oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that.
Your shock of me being like, I told you this story basically, and then you're shocked that I hate prawn crackers. So there we go, prawn cracker story. The story with prawn. Do you like prawn crackers?
I've not had them in years.
You see, I'm going to try one now.
Right.
But I warn you. So I went to like a birthday party when I was like 5 or 6.
I'm already laughing.
You go around, you go to like someone in your class or whatever, and you're kind of not necessarily wanting to be there.
Yeah.
But you go, and then, anyway, the food was, we're all going to get Chinese takeaway. And I, being quite young, I didn't really have Chinese. Chinese takeaway is probably my least. Out of, if I'm choosing, I'd have like Indian or something. Pizza.
You're a lot of pizza.
So I didn't really like it, and I don't really like sweet and sour or that kind of stuff.
No, I don't like sweet and sour.
So everyone orders all this stuff. I think they just ordered. We were like kids, so it wasn't like choose what you want. It was just have all of this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like any of this, and I've had a prawn cracker. And I was like, great, this is nice. I'll eat this. So when you like eat. Just loads of prawn crackers. So I just had all these. What are these crisp things? I'll have these. These are nice. And I had a lot. And then I remember coming home and just feeling really ill and just throwing up so much. And then, ever since then, if I just think about prawn crackers, I can throw up. Like, if I think about the taste.
Please don't eat one then. I don't want that.
So, you know, if you're like hungover and you feel better if you've been sick, all I've got to do is think of like the prawn cracker
That's
taste, and I could be
hilarious.
sick. But I haven't done that for a long time.
Please don't eat them.
I'm going to try one
Oh
now.
my gosh.
Live on air.
This could be a live vom.
Let me just get the smell.
Oh, Mark, don't do it.
Let me just try it. Let me
Can
just.
you
I think
stand-
no. I
right,
think I'll be
stand
alright.
up,
This has been a
stand
long
up.
time. I
Oh
think
my
I'll be
gosh.
alright.
Yeah, but you still use that as a.
Oh, okay. Oh, actually. Okay.
Oh god, I'm so scared. Are you gonna vom?
They're not as strong, actually. It's alright.
Are you gonna vom?
Let me just try one more.
Oh my
no, I think I'll be alright.
gosh, I can't cope.
You have one.
I'm scared. I'm on the...
Okay.
No, they're not that strong.
No.
You've got
Two's
over
enough.
it.
Two's enough. No. No. I can feel it. No. Okay. Experiment over. I can't have any more. But they're not as strong as I remember. No, they're not
Are
strong
you gonna
ones.
vom? Are you...
I'm fine. It's alright. I won't have any more.
Oh my gosh,
I only
can't
have,
cope
like-
with this.
1.5, but that's fine. Prawn crackers are out for me. But I thought it would be a good try. There we go.
They're not even on the table now. You're gonna vom?
No, I'll be alright. I'll be alright.
I can't cope with this.
There we go. Done. Done.
Okay,
So
well, there we are.
There we are. That's prawn crackers for our. If you email us, I'll send you some prawn crackers.
That haven't been vommed on or anything. I didn't think of it as a prawn, you know. I just thought of it as a big blob.
It's the 60s. That is something we would see in the 60s. That's like Sandy.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
Like Sandy was better. The Web Planet was better than that.
It was up there with the shoes of the story I didn't enjoy. Well, I did
Robot's
enjoy.
shoes are the best costume ever compared to this nucleus thing. And but like, it's someone in a suit, but then the guys who are taking it, they're holding it up. They have to carry it through. He can't walk on his own. He can't move on his own. They're holding its hands as it goes along.
Oh, we've had that. Come on, Mark. What was the robot that had to be guided? The giant robot.
Okay, well, yeah, it's like that. They've got to guide it. But that looked amazing, beautiful. But this is not beautiful. This is a terrible, badly thought out design because even someone in a costume cannot stand on their own in it. Stick to the brief. Be a bit more sensible with it.
Stick to the brief.
I know I'm being really harsh. I know, but I can't help it. It makes me angry.
Listeners, this is not as mad as Mark was with Earl Grey. Okay, I'm just going to put that out. This is not Earl Grey mad, but because he hasn't sworn yet. But it's on that. The rant is on the parallel of Earl Grey. So like, I know how angry he is. At
I
this.
think part 4 is the weakest part. I liked, though, Lila dressed up in the nurses thing, and she puts the makeup on to make it look like she's been taken over. That was clever.
Yeah. I liked stuff. I liked all of Leela's storyline.
It's a
in
good
this.
story for her, yeah.
It's a really good storyline for her. She has a lot of
But then
fun.
this is the first time she's really had she's got K9. The Doctor's out of it, really, for quite a lot in terms of that part of the story. So it is just Leela. Okay, Leela is just pretty much fighting. I don't know where everyone else in the hospital is, if they've been evacuated or whatever. But
Well, no, remember, they're stuck from one
of
floor.
course,
Like,
yeah,
they're trapped.
Yeah, trapped. Yeah, I forgot about that.
The trap, Mark. Come on. Keep on the story. It's almost like you don't care about the story.
Well, and this prawn thing's going around wanting to spawn everywhere, so it wants to. And then it gets in the spaceship with them, the terrible spaceship with a terrible crew. They can all. And then they're back on this other planet, aren't they? I was really shocked. In part 4, the most shocking moment is Leela jumps out on one of the crew, stabs him, and she does say, "This is the way you do it. You just stab him in the neck." And you see her go down and stab in the neck. I mean, you don't.
I loved, and I'm really jumping ahead here, but I loved her being like, Dodds, why don't we just blow it up? And he's like, that's not the answer. It just, and then they just end up blowing it up. And she was like, well, that was my idea. And I loved all that. I thought it was hilarious.
Well, where are you on Sexual Chemistry Watch this time?
I mean, it's a bit harder this time, isn't it? Because most of the time he is asleep. It's a great story for Tom Baker. In terms of like, I'm just going to have a snooze now.
I still think he's a little bit grumpy with her in a way.
He's a bit grumpier in this one. Yeah, I agree. I think he's grumpy. But I thought it was more like, I didn't think it was as much at her as the story,
because
the
he's taken
situation,
over.
and the dog.
Because he's taken over, yeah.
Yeah, like it's a bit of a naff story for him. It's a really shit story for the Doctor, let's be honest. This is
Again,
the whole point of this story is to introduce us to K9.
well, actually, I don't know, because okay, they had K9 in this story. I think because he was popular, they're like, let's keep him on. It wasn't a plan to bring in a companion in that way as a regular. But the tone, but this is where we're shifting. You would never get the comedy Doctor and his dog in last season.
Not last season,
and you
no.
wouldn't get the scene that stood out to me. You know, when the Doctor's running, he slams the TARDIS door, goes off, and Leela and K9 are like, Doctor, you forgot us.
I loved that as well. It made me laugh.
You wouldn't get that last season or the season before with Sarah Jane. This is where we're slightly coming into this extra lightness and comedy moments and the Doctor's behaviour. You wouldn't get something like that with any of the Doctors before. Like, okay, not even like the second Doctor, I don't think. This is where those things start to creep in, and this is where that combined with some of the cheapness. But no, like you say, the lines with Leela, there's some great stuff, but sometimes I think it shifts a bit. It's shifted so much already. Even from last week in Horror of Fang Rock, that was so completely different.
I think for me, I enjoyed this because it was so different, and it felt like a light relief after what has been quite a heavy few seasons in terms of story and place and dialogue. Like, we've had some really big, deep things. We've had like quite gruesome deaths. We've had a lot of that, and this just felt a little bit lighter, and I was a little bit for it.
No, that's great. That's brilliant.
And we have a fucking robot dog. I mean, come on.
Well, it would be great to see the dynamic now. We've got Leela, K9 and the Doctor.
But it felt like just such a change. And yes, like, the acting wasn't great. We've had bad acting last season in that crying scene.
Yeah, no, that was one scene, not like...
I know, but like, we have incidents of
oh my god,
bad
imagine
acting.
Zilda in this. Oh my god, I've been taken over by the swarm.
But only that one scene. The rest of the time she was fine. Let's not diss her for everything. Just that one crying scene. It's him, or whatever she said. Anyway, they weren't all awful. Give them some credit. Like that, the whole party scene. But when they were taken over, other than them just being crew, I didn't think anyone was particularly bad, because that's what being taken over is. I thought they were quite decent at that. I really enjoyed it. Will I rate it very highly? Don't know, probably not. But it was a good break. And I cannot be the only person. I'm sure, do fans really hate this?
No, I wouldn't say hate. No, I've been particularly harsh, but I'm sure we'll get everybody saying how great this is now.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely got a lot of flaws. And I guess I'm reaching a point watching this where the flaws seem part of the series as well, which is what fans say. Like, a lot of the fans will be like, but that's why I love it. Because there's like a familiarity in the bad stuff sometimes, you know. When you get like bad costumes or you get like a bad monster, that's kind of like... So some of those things I can just sort of like... I can take that because other moments make up for it, like Leela and the receptionist scene. Loved. Like, right, whoever wrote that was like, and now we'll have Leela interact with a hospital receptionist. Like, round of applause, you know?
Okay, well, there we go. Well, I won't say any more because I'm just going to be harsh on it more.
I've also had a little mini positive rant.
Although, okay, watching this, probably this is, in terms of watching and concentrating all the way through, I've probably watched this maybe once or twice before. So I have enjoyed it the most ever that I have. And maybe, yeah, I see what you mean as a light relief, just looking, yeah, I can see that. It's not one that I would choose to watch all the time, though.
You've got to watch these, and it depends what's going on and your mood. Like, so much of mood affects this. Like, you and me, we are not robots. We've been quite stressed recently. We've had some really like big tough episodes of, and you know, things have been quite heavy, and we're going into winter. I'm just saying, if I'd have watched this at a different time, in a different headspace, it might have been a completely different reaction.
Yeah.
But as it stands, I was going into winter. At the time, I'd been watching some Rick and Morty. And then I was watching this. And maybe I was just in a positive headspace to be like, this is quite nice light relief. This is quite fun.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Cool. Wow.
Oh, there's a robot dog. We've got K9.
I'm most excited about K9. Have lots of K9 talks now.
Yeah. Woo. Yes.
Well, the next story, it's more of a fan favourite.
Okay.
One maybe I've watched once before. I'm not that familiar with the season, so it's new for me. So 4 episodes again. And I have actually had to look up what the next one is. This is how well I know this season. It's called Image of the Fendal.
Image of the Fendal.
Yeah.
Fendal. It gives me nothing. But how exciting, because we've got K9 with us. I don't even know how long I'll enjoy K9 for, but right now, living the high of K9. Also, I just like that he was like, early on, he's like, it's my best friend. And then he was like, actually, I'm going back to Earth. Do you want my dog? That whole thing. There's so much headspace that goes into like when you watch these, how it impacts what you see.
And with K9 as well, they did it a couple of times where they're like, yes, K9, come into the TARDIS. And then they you never see K9 go in because he can't, because there's a step up. So they pretend that he goes in.
I reckon if you and me had been watching this together with a bag of Haribo.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Like, so a proper sugar high, we'd have had a completely, like, you'd have been on board with me at some of the silliness.
Yeah. No, it wasn't, we've had worse. We have had
worse. And I'm not putting it on a pedestal of brilliant, but I didn't think it was awful. I don't think it's the worst thing we've seen. That is still the Bumblebee one for me.
Web Planet, yeah.
Web Planet and The Screw.
Edge of Destruction, yeah.
They're both still the worst for me. Actually, no. And Smugglers.
Oh my god, I can't believe you keep bringing up Smugglers.
I really hated it.
Do you know, there's rumours going around that they found a William Hartnell episode. If it turns out to be The Smugglers, we are going back.
Enjoy watching it, Mark. Enjoy watching it.
It'll be a brand new Polly episode for you to watch. Let's go. Contact has been made. There we go, that was my outro. In the meantime, everyone, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at TwoWatchWho. Let us know what you think about The Invisible Enemy. I don't want to know. And we will see you next week.
To watch who?